Hey, you guys, welcome to Talk About It Thursday. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Let me know when you guys are on and we will get started for today. In the meantime, we'll listen to a little bit of worship music, a little bit of a war cry. I don't know what everybody's going through, but I know there are people on our page that are going through quite a bit. And sometimes they feel like God is not hearing them and that God is not with them. But I'm here today to encourage you that God is fighting for you even when you can't see him, when you can't trace his moves. Just understand, because you are a child of God, God is fighting for you. He's fighting for you. And just know that Sister I Got You is fighting for you too. We're going to keep praying for everyone. Hey, Wendy, how are you? We're going to keep praying for everyone and just keep everybody in our mind and in our thoughts, because it may be them today, you guys, but it may be us tomorrow. So let's not get so busy that we don't have time to say an encouraging word or pray for somebody else, you guys, because we all go through things. And if you're not going through something right now, thank God for it. Be grateful for it. But let's not forget those that are. So I just want to encourage you guys that God is fighting for you. And don't feel like that nobody's with you, that nobody understands. We may not know what it's like to walk in your shoes, but we have enough love in our heart to know that you don't have to do it by yourself. And we don't want you to go through things by yourself. So let us know. If you're struggling with something, let us know. We want to be there for you. We want to pray for you. Sometimes there's not anything we can do in the physical, but we can always pray for you. We can always send you text messages. We can always remind you, of how good God is and how blessed you are. And sometimes that's all you need is just somebody reminding you, and helping you kind of get out of that mode of worrying about the situation, and just remind you that, when you're in Christ, you're a new creature. And that God has healing. God has healing powers. And that's what we're here to remind you guys of. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. Our topic is Don't Get Lost in the Maze. And when I say maze, you guys, pretty much everybody knows what a maze is. A maze is that path that we see, that looks like a puzzle. It looks like there's two or three ways to go into it, but it's strategic of how you get to the center, how you get to your goal. And it's got all these different pathways. And then if you go down the wrong path, you end up at a dead end. Then you have to turn around and take another path. Well, that's the way life is sometimes. Sometimes life is just like a puzzle. You think that you're going the right way. You think that you're doing the right things, but then something happens to block your way, to get you to a dead end. And then you got to try to figure out, okay, now what do I do? Because I thought I was doing the right thing, but it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So understand that life can be like a maze, and you have to learn how to navigate your way through. Your maze is different from mine. My maze is different from yours. So it's not like I can tell you how to get to your center. Nobody can. That's going to be between you and God. And a lot of things hold us up and keep us from getting to our destination, keep us from reaching our goals, keep us from being the best that we can be. And that's our goal with Sister I Got You, is to be better than you were yesterday. I want to be better than I was last year. And I can honestly say I've seen my own maturity. I've seen my own growth just from working with Sister I Got You, just from doing these podcasts, because I benefit from that the same way you guys do, because I have to grow in order to be able to do this every week. And so I thank God every day that he didn't let me feel like I was not qualified. He qualified me to do this even before I knew I could do this. And so therefore, those thoughts that you have about yourself, the way you feel about yourself, it matters what you say. It matters what you think about yourself, because you limit yourself with your own thoughts and with your own mouth. So understand, sometimes you cannot get to your destination just because of the way that you think. You think you can't do something. Oh, I don't think I'm good enough. Oh, well, they've told me I'm not smart enough. But why would you listen to anybody else, you guys? We've got to stop letting those outside noises take over the voice of God. If God gives you a desire in your heart to do something, don't let other people talk you out of it. Don't let other people tell you who you are. Find out for yourself who you are. Find out who God says you are. And that's what you stand on. That's what you use to help you navigate through the maze of life. And don't get lost in the maze of your mistakes. That's one of the mazes you can run into. It's your mistakes. Sometimes your mistakes pop up just when you're doing good, and then there's a reminder of what you did wrong, a reminder of your mistake. And sometimes we're held prisoner because we won't forgive ourselves for what we've done in the past. You guys, we've got to let that stuff go so that it'll quit popping up at inconvenient times, quit popping up when we're making progress. Because a lot of times the enemy just wants to knock you down a peg or two when you're doing well. And so you have to be smart enough to understand how the enemy works. He doesn't want you to move forward. He doesn't want you to elevate. He wants you to stay right down there, stay down low, stay by yourself, stay in a state of low self-esteem, because he can deal with you on that level. When you start rising up and realizing who you are and knowing who you are and walking like who you are, he can't touch you. But as long as you're doubting yourself, as long as you are judging yourself by your past mistakes, then he can continually talk to you. He can continually trip you up and throw those traps out for you. But you've got to decide that you're not going to get caught up in the maze of your mistakes. You've got to learn to let those things go. Give those things over to God. Try to do better. Try not to make the same mistakes over and over again, and try to learn from the mistakes that you have made. So don't get caught up in the maze of your mistakes, because that'll hold you back for years, worrying about what you did wrong and believing that because you've made those mistakes that you're not good enough. Okay? The next maze we want to be careful of is that maze of taking care of other people. You guys, we're caregivers, most of us, and because we focus so much on taking care of other people, sometimes it stops us from reaching our dreams. Sometimes it stops us, hey Lindsay, from reaching our goals, simply because we get caught up in that maze of taking care of other people. It's fine to take care of this person or that person. It's fine to take care of family members. It's fine to take care of your kids. It's fine to take care of your spouse. But don't ever forget to take care of yourself, because you'll get so caught up taking care of other people, and before you know it, guess what? Years have passed you by. You're tired, you're worn out, and you're exhausted, simply because you got caught up in that maze and you never moved forward from taking care of everybody else. You're not supposed to stay in one place, you guys. You got to move on. Even though you're helping somebody else, don't let that consume your life, because you have a life too. You have a destiny too. You have hopes and dreams too. Don't sell that out. Don't give that up trying to take care of somebody else, because sometimes we need to implement some tough love. A lot of times we take care of people that really should be taking care of themselves, but because we've made them codependent, they take over your life as well, and before you know it, your whole life involves helping them. And that's not how it's supposed to be. So don't get caught up in the maze of taking care of other people. Do what you have to do, but don't let that consume your life. Don't let that be your life, because you'll be stuck in one place and life will pass you by and you'll never make it to the center of your maze, to the center of your life, where you finally reach that destination that you've been working so hard trying to do. Okay, so don't get caught up in the maze of taking care of other people. Number 3, don't get caught up in the maze of your illness. Sometimes we have physical illnesses, we have health issues, this, that, and the other. Don't get caught in the maze of that. If it's something you can do something about, do something about it. If there's treatment for it, get treatment for it. But don't let the illness consume your life. Don't let illness consume your life. Understand that illness has a purpose, and that illness is not unto death. A lot of times things happen in our lives to get us straightened out. Just like with me, High blood pressure has crept into my life, and I've been praying against that. You know what? But until I change my stress level, and until I eat right, until I exercise like I'm supposed to do, those things are going to happen. And those illnesses sometimes are there to make us get in line. And I know what I'm supposed to do. Now I'm doing better. Now that I've had to get on blood pressure medicine, now I'm doing better. But it shouldn't have taken all of that for me to work harder, try harder, decrease my stress, stand up for myself. You know, a lot of times I took too much on myself, and I tried to do it because I was trying to help everybody else. But you know what? Now that I'm to the point where they've said I've got high blood pressure, now I'm ready to take care of me. But don't wait till you get to that point, you guys. When you know that there are things that you need to change in your life, change it before it develops into something else. Because a lot of times we ignore the warning signs that are sent to us. We're in that maze and we're walking, and God is showing us, you keep going that way, it's going to be a problem. Don't go that way, and we go that way anyway. And then we wonder why we hit a dead end. Then we got to turn around and come back out and start all over again. And that was the lesson that God gave me. Last year, you know, your blood pressure was acting up a little bit, and you should have taken it more seriously then. And that's on me, because that's not anybody's fault but my own. I have control of that. So when there's an illness in your life that you can do something about, let's stop allowing the illness to consume us. Do what we can to make things better. Do what we can to get healthy. Do what we can to lessen the likelihood of something getting worse in our life. So don't get caught up in the maze of your illness, because you don't want that to consume your life. You don't want your conversation to always be about how sick you are, how you feel, this is going wrong, that's going wrong. You can't enjoy life if you're always focused on your illness all the time. So do your part, get yourself healthy, follow your doctor's instructions, get your checkups. A lot of people don't even go get their checkup. Get your checkups at least once a year and get your labs done, you guys. That's the nurse talking to me. At least do that once a year and get your screenings once a year, because you can ward off a whole lot of things just by doing that once a year. So let's take care of ourselves so that we don't get stuck off in our maze in certain areas. You know, you don't want to be stuck in the maze of illness, 10, 15, 20 years when you could have done something about it, okay? And the next maze we don't want to be stuck in is the maze of our issues. We all have issues. We all have things about ourselves that we have to deal with. But the fact is, you can be stuck in that area and life go on around you, and the maze, the door can be right there for you, but because you're so stuck in your issues, you can't even see it in front of you. We have to deal with our own issues, whether it's depression, anxiety, whether it's hurt from the past, whether it's, somebody did something wrong to me, unforgiveness, all of that stuff. You get stuck and you can't go any further in life until you deal with your own issues. And you're going to, first of all, have to recognize it and own it and say, you know what? I got a nasty attitude. My understanding is bad. I need to do better about that. Or I let things bother me too much. I worry too much. I need to pray about that. I need to ask somebody to help me. With better ways of coping and better ways of understanding. There are things in life you can do something about, but it's up to us. You can be stuck in a corner of the maze and not moving simply because you won't deal with your own issues. So guys, let's stop doing that. Let's not limit ourselves by not dealing with those things that are holding us back, okay? Number 5, sometimes we can get lost, you guys, in the maze of information. There's so much news going on. Some of it is real, some of it is not. We're getting, messages on Facebook, Instagram, the news, the radio, all of that stuff. Sometimes that can be too much, you guys. And sometimes you need to shut that stuff down, because you can be so overwhelmed with information, with news and information. It can literally consume you. You can literally get lost in all of that, just trying to keep up with all of that, you guys. So limit your time to what you listen to and what you believe. You know, make sure you get the facts before you believe everything you see on social media, before you believe everything, you know, that you see in the news. Get the facts. And don't allow all of that stuff to consume you, because sometimes that'll stop you in your tracks because you're trying to figure too much out instead of just living your life. Some things we just can pray about and we have to let God handle them. We can't fix everything, but sometimes we do get overwhelmed with information. And you have to understand that your story begins each time you get up from a mistake. And I'll say that again. Your story begins. Sorry, y'all. Let me turn this sound off. I didn't want nobody disturbing us. But every time you get up from a mistake, your story begins. Don't ever let a mistake look like that's the end of your life. That's not it. Anytime you get up from that mistake, you have an opportunity to start over and you have an opportunity to get it right. So don't ever let that mistake be bigger than God, okay? Because God says he gives you grace, brand new mercies every morning. So understand that whatever you did, whatever mistakes that you made, hey, give it to God and understand that you can begin again. You can start over. It's never too late to start over. And we all need grace. You know, nobody's perfect. We all mess up. You know, we need grace so much that even God knew that. He knew that we were imperfect. He knew when he created us that we were not going to be able to fall in line with everything that he wanted us to do. That's why the grace is there, to help us to understand that his love is greater than any mistake than we can ever make. Okay? And you have to be heading in the right direction in order to navigate through your maze. You got to make up your mind. I'm going to take on life and I'm going to move forward. Now, if you're always constantly stuck in the past, how can you head in the right direction? The right direction to navigate through your maze is moving forward. You always have to move forward. Leave that stuff in the past. You can't change it. Nothing you can do about it. Like I said before, if you've hurt somebody, go back and apologize. Whether they accept your apology or not, that's not on you. But the only direction that's the right direction when you're walking through a maze of life that we all have to walk through is to go forward. You got to move forward. You can't be looking back and moving forward. You've got to keep your eyes ahead of you and understand that there's more ahead of you than there was behind you. Okay? And your perception becomes your reality. Whatever you perceive about a situation, whatever you perceive about your life, whatever you're saying about yourself, whatever you're saying about your life, that's what your life is going to be. So it's up to you to speak those things into existence that haven't even happened. You have to speak in faith, and you have to understand that, you know, the more you speak it, the more your perception will change. And your perception becomes your reality. And that's what we want to change about ourselves, you guys. Stop limiting yourself by what's happened in the past. You know, what's happened in the past is not all that there is to you. You know, you're bigger than what happened to you in your past. You're bigger than what you've already done. You know, God has something great inside of you, and the only way you can see it is to start speaking things into existence that haven't happened yet. You have to speak things in faith, even if you're nervous about things, about doing something. If God has put it on your heart to do it, speak it into existence. Tell yourself, I am confident. I am well able. My God is providing for me. I shall, you know, be a conqueror. I will not fail. You know, God is going to bless everything that I touch, everywhere that I go. You have to talk to yourself like that when you want to move forward in life, when you want to move through this maze we call life. Because a lot of times you can't see what's in front of you in life. You know, we wake up every day thinking that we got it all figured out. We know what we're going to do today. We know how things are going to go today. And guess what? Before you know it, something unexpected happens. That's that roadblock that comes up before you. That's when you hit that dead end in the maze, and then you got to figure out, now what did I do? I wasn't prepared for this. What am I going to do now? Well, that's why you have to always keep your eyes on God, and you have to always keep your prayer life in line, and stay prayerful all the time, because we really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in the next minute. The next minute. So we always have to trust God and ask God to guide us as we walk through this maze that we call life, you guys. And so, what do we do when it seems like God doesn't answer us? There are times, and I'll admit that I've gotten angry with God, because I didn't think he was moving fast enough. My situation to me was urgent. In my little finite mind, I felt like, I needed God to do something. I needed him to do it right now. But what do you do when God doesn't answer your request, or doesn't seem to be answering your request? Number one, do you get bitter? Do you get angry? And do you give up? Be honest with yourself. Have there been times when you felt like God just wasn't moving like you wanted him to move, and you've gotten bitter about it? You've gotten angry about it. And some things you've even given up on. God moves in his own timing, you guys. Sometimes we're just not ready for what we're asking him to do. And a lot of times, we don't want to take the time to be patient. Because patience, we feel like, we don't have to be patient. We're a child of God. God, you hear me, and I've been praying to you, this, that, and the other. But a lot of times we may not be ready for what we're asking for. And because God is so much wiser than we are, sometimes his answer is just not right now. And we never like that. Just like children, they don't like being told no. They don't like being told to wait. And we're the same way as adults. Number two, when God didn't answer, or you felt like he didn't answer, what did you do? Did you settle for something that was easier? Did you settle for plan B instead of waiting on God for plan A, for the thing that you really asked him for? I know what it's like to settle for plan B, and you're never happy with plan B. And you end up having to wait on God anyway. Even after you go your own way and you do things your way, you always end up right back where you started, asking God for help. So it's better to wait on God, you guys. And then number three, do you get anxious and do you worry? Being human, it's hard not to be anxious when things aren't moving like you feel like they need to, or to worry when things don't seem to be getting better but seem to be getting worse, or they seem to not be changing. But that's where our faith is going to have to step in, you guys. That's what your friends are for, those friends that truly love you. When you're going through something, that's part of that friend's job, is to help you to decrease your anxiety, to help you not to worry so much, to try to see what they can do to help you stay calm, to help you trust in God. That's why it's so important to have truly good friends that can sense, when something is going on with you. You need people like that in your life, you guys. We have got to do a better job of choosing our inner circle, because your inner circle is supposed to strengthen you. We do those things for each other. When one is weak, the other is strong. That's when you have a true friend, because it balances out like that. They're there for you when you need them, and you're there for them, when they need you. That helps alleviate a lot of that anxiety and worry when you've got the right kind of people around you. And if you don't have that in your life right now, start praying about it. Ask God to send you some good people, some people that really care about you. And I know this day and age, it's kind of hard to tell who your friend is and who your enemy is. A lot of times I see so many things happening amongst friends, and I'm like, dang, I thought they were friends. And I see all that jealousy and that strife and backbiting and stuff like that. And I know that that's nothing new, but there comes a time when you say, when is all of that ever going to stop? Friends are supposed to be friends no matter what. So ask God to send some good people in your life that actually are for you, and somebody that can help you grow and that you can help them grow. Okay? So what do we do when our emotions are unstable and when we're confused? There again, that's where those good friends come in. That's when those connections that you've made with people that believe like you believe, people that are like-minded, people that have goals and actually want something out of their life. That's when those people come in, because they tend to be more level-headed. People that have been through some things. Those are the people that you want to have in your corner, because when they've gone through something, God gives you ammunition. When you go through something, I can honestly say God gives you artillery. Because what happens is when you go through something and you've had a hard time and you've made it through, God puts something in your arsenal that you're going to be able to use as a weapon to help somebody else. He never leaves you empty-handed, no matter what you're going through. Hey, Sandra, no matter what you're going through or what you've been through, God is building up an arsenal. God has shown me an arsenal, to where he's got weapons for you simply because of what you went through and how you had to go through it. And once you make it through, you have an arsenal. You have a testimony. You have wisdom now that you can share with somebody else that nobody else is going to be able to do for them. Right, saying experience is the best teacher, because God will develop some things in you just because you had to go through it. So that's why, we don't despise the things that you've gone through, because God has done it for a reason. He's building an arsenal for you. He's giving you weapons that you're going to use to help somebody else get through. He's giving you that wisdom for a reason. And when you're walking through the maze of life, you've got to be smart. You've got to be strategic about what you do in life, because what you do, the decisions that you make, can decide if you end up at a dead end or you make it to your center of your maze, to your goal, to what you've been working so hard for. The decisions that you make matter, and it's not all about you. The decisions you make affect everyone around you. It affects your family. It affects your friends. It affects anybody that cares about you. So understand, when you make, especially those big decisions, understand it's not always just about you. So understand what you do and how you choose to do it will decide where you get in your maze of life. If you end up stuck somewhere for 2 and 3 years, it's probably because of a decision that you've made in your past that got you stuck. And just understand, as we get older and we get wiser, we learn how to navigate better. We learn how to avoid those dead ends in life. We learn how to, when we hit a dead end, we can turn around and go back and strategize and go a different way and try something different. So understanding that life is about trying new things. Life is about, when one thing doesn't work, try something else. It's not about giving up. It's about, okay, so that didn't work for you. Okay, what else can you do? What else can you try? Who can you call to help you with this or that? That's what life is about. That's how you conquer in life. You don't try to walk through life all by yourself. Okay? And then what do you do when you want to be strong? But what we're up against is so scary. That's those illnesses, y'all. That's those situations. You want to be strong and you're trying your best to do the right thing. You're trying your best to put on a brave face. But what do you do when that situation is so scary? And what about it lasting longer than you expected it to? It's just like when I was in an MRI machine not too long ago. I'm a little bit claustrophobic, you guys. And I remember I was talking to myself going in there. I said, you know what, Karen, you're going to do this. You're going to be fine. You're going to do this. You're not going to get scared. It's just 45 minutes. You got this. And what was so crazy about it, I did good in the beginning. But then as the situation was longer and longer, and it took longer for them to do the MRI than they told me, and then I started getting scared. That anxiety started coming onto me. And life is like that. Sometimes we can handle something that's uncomfortable for a little while, but when it starts lasting longer than we expected it to, that's when that fear comes in. That's when that anxiety comes in. And that's normal. We're all human. And that's where those friends, again, I tell you, it matters who's in your corner, you guys, because sometimes you just need somebody to hold your hand and talk you through some things. And it's so funny, the guy that was doing the MRI, I squeezed the little ball that they give you, and he said, "What's wrong, Miss Bailey?" I said, "I'm scared." And I just said it like that. He said, "What are you scared of?" And guess what? I didn't even have an answer. But just hearing him saying that, I didn't have an answer for it. That was my mind playing tricks on me. There was nothing to be scared of. I'd already been there doing the MRI. It wasn't hurting me. So he said, "What are you scared of?" The only thing I could say to him was, "I don't know." And sometimes in life, you don't know what you're scared of. Just anything that lasts longer than you're expecting it to, that's uncomfortable for you. Sometimes we develop a spirit of fear about it. And you need that person to ask you, "What are you afraid of?" And a lot of times that's all you need to hear to help you calm yourself down. And that's exactly what happened. When he asked me that and I said, "I don't know," he said, "Okay." He said, "Well, what can I do for you?" I said, "I think I'm ready to go ahead and finish." And I was able to finish the MRI. But just something about him talking to me and just bringing that into reality to let me know there's nothing for you to be afraid about. And that's what those friends are there for, to help you understand there's nothing to be afraid about. I'm here with you. I'm going to walk with you through this. It's going to be okay. And a lot of times that's what you need to hear, is it's going to be okay. And then what do in this maze called life when we take a loss after we've tried to do everything right? And you know that happens, you guys. Sometimes you can try to do everything right. You can pray, you can be good to people, you can, try to help people, and still you take a loss. And that's just part of that maze in life. It doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't. But it is what it is. And we have to understand sometimes no matter what you do, things may not work out. And we have to accept that, and we have to not let that stop us in our tracks. Because sometimes when that happens, we get so heartbroken that we don't want to do anything anymore. We don't want to go any further. And then here's our destination, maybe 100 yards in front of us, but we stopped because we got hurt. We stopped because we just got tired. We just got weary of well-doing. Just like it says in the word, don't get weary of well-doing. You're going to reap a harvest if you don't faint. But sometimes we faint away simply because we tried to do everything right and it just didn't work out for us. So I encourage you guys, when you know that you've done the best that you can, don't harp too long on a loss. I used to do that, and I used to overanalyze and try to figure out everything that went wrong. But you know what? Sometimes it's just not meant to be, you guys. And that's okay. That is okay. Everything happens for a reason. So don't spend your life trying to analyze how you lost in a certain area. Move forward. Accept the loss and say, "You know what? That wasn't for me. I lost that. Let's move forward. Let's see what else I can do." We're going to have to just go on without that. But don't let that stop you in that track, because you want to make it to the center of your maze. You want to make it to your destination of what you were born to do. You want to make it to that purpose. You want to make it to that goal of what you worked so hard for. So don't let anything stop you, not even a loss. Okay? And then what do when it wasn't your fault, but you still have to face the consequences? In this maze we call life, sometimes we have to deal with consequences of things that wasn't our fault. When we lose a loved one, you guys, some of us, have lost loved ones that are very close to us. Some of our members don't have their mom or their dad. There was no fault of their own, but they're still having to live out the consequences of that. And unfortunately, those things do happen in life. Sometimes we do have to suffer the consequences of something that we didn't create. But what we can control is the situations that we get into as far as relationships. Make sure that you have your mind made up when you enter into a relationship with someone that has children. Make sure that you have your mind made up and everything's settled when you deal with somebody that's been married before, because sometimes there's baggage that you got to deal with, especially with those children and those other parents. You don't make sure you know the whole situation before you get yourself into that, so that you're not in a relationship suffering because of something that they didn't handle properly before you even came along. So those are some things that we can take control of. Don't get yourself in situations that are out of control that have nothing to do with you. You can make a choice to walk away from those things and let people get their stuff together without involving you, especially if it has nothing to do with you. I was watching a comedy show the other night on Netflix, and one of the comedians did a great show, and when he finished his show, he said something really serious. He said, you guys, pray for the comedians out here. And the audience, they didn't really know how to take that because he was serious. And he was like, we're not okay. Some of us are going through a lot, and then we have to get up here and pretend and kind of do jokes for you guys and make y'all laugh and try to keep y'all happy. But in our private lives, we're going through hell. And come to find out, this comedian had lost his mother last year. I think he lost an uncle and some other. He was really, taking that very hard and really hadn't gotten over the hurt of losing his mother. So I just really admired him for putting that out there to make people understand that, we all go through things in this maze that we call life. And we have to have compassion for one another. Don't expect people to perform for you all the time. Allow people to have their downtime. Allow people to have time to grieve a loss. Allow people to have time to have that time to deal with their own feelings and their own emotions. A lot of times we want stuff from people, and then we say they have an attitude, when they don't respond the way we want them to. Maybe you need to find out what's really going on with that person, why they reacted to you the way that they did. They may be putting on a brave face. They may be smiling on the outside and crying on the inside. Don't be so quick to judge people and think that their life is good just because you don't see the tears. We've got to be more conscious of the fact that people have stuff going on in their lives. That's why before you start putting all your stuff on somebody, ask them how they're doing. Ask them if they're okay before you start putting all your baggage on top of them. Sometimes we're bad about loading people down that are already overloaded. And just because they're not walking around, crying or looking sad, you don't know what somebody's going through. You don't know what somebody's stress level is. And then here you come, you can't wait to see them to bombard them with your stuff. Don't do that, you guys. Start asking people, how are you doing? Before you start asking them for something or needing something from them. We've got to have more compassion for one another, you guys. Okay? Because a lot of times the fact that they look strong on the outside, sometimes those people never get the help that they need. And that's really unfair. But I love to see that people are now speaking their truth and they're letting people know, look, I'm not okay. I can't deal with you right now. I got my own stuff I'm dealing with. But you need to be able to speak up, especially the people that say that they love you. You need to be able to tell them, hold on, I can't deal with your stuff right now. I'm going through my own stuff. And they need to be okay with that. They need to respect you and allow you to do what you need to do so that you can keep moving forward in life. Because one thing about it, no matter what's going on with you, life doesn't stop. Nothing will stop. So you have to have your time to deal with whatever's bothering you, whatever's hurting you, whatever has knocked you down for a little bit so that you can get back up and you can get back in your maze and you can keep going and keep heading towards your goal. So what do? When you feel lost in a maze? What do? It's okay to get mad. It's fine to get mad when you feel lost, when you don't understand what to do. It's all right. You have a right to cry about it. You have a right to get mad about it. And people need to give you your space, especially when you have a big disappointment, when you feel like you were going the right direction and it ended up at a dead end and you're so disappointed. People should allow you to cry about those things, allow you to be upset, but they shouldn't let you stay there. Now, a true friend, they'll give you your time to be upset or whatever, but then they're going to come to you and say, hey, girl, you know what? I'm sorry that happened to you. I know you worked so hard for that, and I know you took a loss. But sis, come on, you're okay. There's more that you can do. Life is not over for you. Let's pick up the pieces and let's start over again. That's why those friendships, those connections are so important. That you have people with you that understand what it is to be down and get back up. People that have never, had anything major happen in their life, I sometimes wonder if that's a disadvantage from them because they don't know the strength that it takes to lose something major and then have to get back up, dust yourself off, and try again. That takes an amazing amount of strength, and it definitely does build your character. So understand that when you feel like you're lost, it's okay to be upset, but at some point you got to get back up and you got to try again and get back on your feet. What is not okay is giving up. You can't give up. Whatever you felt like you wanted to, or whatever your goal was, don't give up on it just because you take a loss. Don't give up on it just because you may not know which way you're going right now. Just understand that it may be your time to get quiet and may be time for you to learn some things before you proceed. But don't give up. Don't give up. And another thing that's not okay when you feel lost is to give in. Don't give in and just give over to your weakness and say, you know what, I don't care anyway. I'm going to go back to drinking. I'm going to go back to doing this. I'm going to go back to doing that because it was easier than trying to navigate through life. And a lot of people have just given up on life, and that's why they turn to substance abuse and things like that because it was too hard for them to keep moving. And nobody was there to tell them that they could do it. A lot of times you just need that person that say, no, we're not going to go back to doing that. No, we're going to keep moving. I'm going to walk with you. We're going to go through it together. And a lot of times people give in to their weakness because it's easier to just check out on life than it is to move forward. And then a lot of times when you feel lost, that's the time you need to reevaluate your life and try to figure out where you got off track. A lot of times if you just sit down and think about, how your life was going and then what happened right before you got off track, you can sometimes figure out what keeps getting you off track and also what keeps distracting you and knocking you off track and getting you out of the way. Because a lot of times it may be somebody in your life that's a distraction for you, or it may be a bad habit that keeps knocking you off track every time you head towards your goal. Things like laziness, procrastination, people that don't follow through, on what they say they're going to do. A lot of times it takes them forever to get to where they're trying to go and to reach their goals simply because of bad habits that they have. And then those that are distracted easily, they're always dealing with other people's drama. You can't focus on your own life when you're always dealing with everybody else. And like I said before, everybody's maze is unique. I can't walk through your maze. You can't walk through mine. Okay? And so only way that you can go through your maze is you got to walk through God. You got to walk through God. God will guide you through life. And He's the one that directs your path. And so when you follow God and you allow God to walk you through this thing called life, you have an easier time of navigating through the maze. Okay? And then let's talk about how do we find our center, which is the center, which is our goal. Because each maze has a center. It has a destination that we're all trying to get to. All of us have something in life that we're trying to do. We all have a goal, whether it's to retire, whether it's to own your own business, whether it's to, whatever your goal is, whatever your center is. A lot of times my center is just to be to a point in my life where I'm comfortable, where I'm happy, and where I feel whole, where I feel safe, where I feel content. That's my center. I just want to be to a place where I'm comfortable, I feel safe, and I feel content. Once I get there, I will have made it to my center. No, I'm not there, but I'm striving to get there. I'm navigating through my life. I'm navigating through the maze, trying to get to those things. I'm trying to make those decisions that help me get to the center of my maze. Okay? And then after all, the goal in life should be to feel secure in whatever you're doing, whether it's in your finances, whether it's in feeling secure about your environment, whether it's feeling secure about who you are as a person. We all need to be striving for that. And in order to find your center, you have to get up and you have to start navigating it. You don't get there overnight. And that's one thing people don't understand. There's nothing in life that you get to overnight. Hey, Juanita, you get to overnight. It's going to take some time to navigate through life. It's going to take time to navigate through the maze. But what you want to do is not get bogged down in areas of the maze in your life, areas that you should have taken care of. You know, things from your past. Let those things go, like I said before. Things that you know, shouldn't even still be an issue for you. Forgive people. Let people go. Let those people go on with their life and stop holding on to what they did to you, because sometimes that'll slow you up in life. And sometimes that'll keep you stuck in one position. Let them go and move forward in life. And as you're going through your maze, as you're going through your journey, learn something from it. Don't try to compete with other people to get to the center. You know, your maze is your maze. So don't worry about if she gets to hers before you get to yours. Hers is unique. So you can't move like she moves. She can't move like you move. Just enjoy your own life. Enjoy walking with God and letting God guide you through your own maze in life. And there are two kinds of people. Some people will find a spot in the maze that they're happy with, and they'll say, you know what, I'm good right here. That's that person that's fine with the middle ground. You know, they don't even make it to their center. They just done found a spot and they say, okay, I'm cool with this. I'm good with this. And then there's that other person that keeps persevering, and they find those good spots, but they say, okay, I like this, but because I found this, I know there's better. I know God has something more for me, so I'm going to keep moving. And that's that person that's wanting to go deeper. And they want to find out what else they can do. They want to explore new things. They want to discover what else is out there besides what they're used to. That's that other kind of person. And they're not satisfied until they get all the way to the center of their maze. And that's fine, whichever one of those people you want to be. As long as you can get to that point in your life where you're content, where you're satisfied, and where you feel secure, that's you. That's your life. That's your maze. But just don't settle in life. Don't give up because it's easier to give up than to keep going. Okay? Because the journey is definitely worth it. Okay? So if you're stuck or if you run into a dead end, all you got to do is turn around and go back and start all over again. Because one thing about it is a maze, it has more places to go in and out, but there's always an exit. You may not always make it to the center, but the same way you went in, you can always come out. So just know that, you know, if you have to start over, start over. There's no shame in starting over, clearing the board, and just starting from scratch. If what you're doing is not working for you and it keeps hitting dead ends, don't be afraid to clear the chalkboard and say, you know what, let's try something totally different. Don't be afraid of that, and don't have too much pride to start over, you guys. If you keep hitting dead ends in your maze of life, if you don't seem to be making it near the center to your goal, sometimes you need to stop and you need to re-strategize and you need to start over. Don't worry about what anybody has to say about you, because this is your life. You only get one. So you do what's going to be best for you so that you can get to where you're trying to go in life. You know, because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, you have to be the one that gives an account for that. Nobody else can give an account for how you lived your life. Okay? And my final thought is, it's inevitable that we all have to walk through the maze of life. I mean, there's no getting around it. You know, if you're born, you're going to have to walk through it. But how we understand our current path determines how content you'll be. You know, when you realize that life is a journey and that most things are not even permanent in life, you can learn to embrace the fact that it's a journey and things are always going to be moving and changing, and that's okay. That's okay. Because you won't get overwhelmed when things change. When you realize, hey, I'm on a journey. This is all temporary stuff. This ain't where I'm supposed to be anyway. I got better ahead of me. And when you think like that, then you can learn to enjoy your journey a little bit better. No one knows what tomorrow holds, but our hope is in God who holds our tomorrow in his hand. Life is a maze, and God is our navigator. So don't allow yourself to get lost in the maze trying to do everything in life by yourself. We can't do it, you guys. We need God to guide us through the maze, and we need the people that God sends into our life to help us walk through and help guide us through and help us miss some of those dead ends, you guys. But the only way you're going to be able to do that is to get moving and understand that life is a journey. You're going to have some ups and downs. You're going to have some bumps. You're going to have some potholes. But the thing about it is, you're strong enough to get right back up and try it again. You guys, thank you so much for watching tonight. Our announcements for tonight are next week, of course, we all know it's Thanksgiving. So there will not be a Talk About It Thursday next week because I want you guys to enjoy your family. Cook, do whatever you got to do, love on each other, enjoy your Thanksgiving. And also, I want to put something out there for you guys in 2023. I would love for us to get together and do a meet and greet, whether that is just a day of coming together at a local venue, or if we want to get away, do a cabin retreat somewhere, maybe in Louisiana, or if we want to take a cruise, all of those things. I'm going to put that out there for you guys, and you guys give me some feedback and let me know, because I would love to see us start getting together and meeting one another, encouraging one another, you know, just spending some time, having fun, just networking and just getting to learn other people besides the people that we're hanging around all the time. Let's get out and meet some new people, mix and mingle. So you guys get back with me and let me know what you guys think about just a getaway, you know, or even just a meet and greet, you know, where we can all just get together and talk to one another and make some new friends. You know, that would be awesome. So get back with me and let me know what you think about these ideas. I'll be waiting to hear from you. You can inbox me and just let me know, you know, what you guys think would be a good idea for us to get together in 2023. I love you guys. Thank you so much and enjoy your holidays. I'll try to get on one day next week and wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. But if I get busy, like most people do, then I want you guys to love one another. I want y'all to be mindful of those that are sick, those that are shut in. If you know somebody that needs some assistance on the holidays, please reach out to them. If you know somebody that needs an encouraging word, someone that doesn't have a family, you know, reach out to them and extend your hand to them, you guys. You guys, I love y'all and have a great weekend and happy Thanksgiving. You guys take care and stay safe. All right. Bye-bye.